goodness, my own television show. I can't believe it. Comedy, music, lots of Jews. It's great. I'm Jake Ehrenreich. I began my career in the Catskill Mountains as a young musician, and I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Oh my goodness, who's booing? Let me tell you a little about myself. So, picture this, 1965, I'm 9 years old. My dad and I were watching our first baseball game together on TV. And there's my father. You know, I learned a lot of things from my dad. Yeah, how to dress was not one of them. Anyway, we're watching the game together, right? And you have to understand, when I was growing up, baseball was very important to me. I needed American credentials to offset the fact that my parents were immigrants. Baseball is as American as apple pie, which was exactly what I wanted to be. My father knew nothing about baseball. This was not a popular game in Poland, where he grew up before World War II. But we were watching the game together. And even then, I knew he was watching it for me, which is so great. About the 5th or 6th inning, my dad turns to me. He says, "No, Yankele, what kind of game is this baseball? 2 people play and 8 people watch." Remember, this is a Jewish television station, right?
Oh, really?
How, when
You're kidding me. This is news to me. I thought it was Cleopatra entering Rome.
I wonder, in all of what you've done, the Jewish life that you lived, did that affect in any way your career, for better, for worse? When you went on Johnny Carson, I'm sure you didn't talk about being Jewish. In your perception, being Jewish, how did that affect your career? Good, bad, later, not the Yiddish theater in the beginning. Later.
It's good. It's good. First of all, I went on the Johnny Carson and I sang a song called Mamala, which I was kind of like associated with that song. They loved it. And I think when you stand up for your religion and you stand up for your heritage and your culture, that people respect it. They love it.
Boy, do I agree with that. Do I?
And then, you know, being Jewish didn't hurt Barbara Streisand.
Who?
You know what I'm talking about? Didn't hurt Barbara, right? And it didn't hurt, like, you know, Woody Allen didn't hurt Woody. This terrific, you know.
Do you? In the early days of television, wasn't there a saying, "Speak British, think Yiddish"? Because it meant the face of these early television shows, mostly the sitcoms, right? The Dick Van Dyke Show, all that. Think of who was on the screen. Think of who the writers were. This was all Mel Brooks.
Yeah, it's Carl Reiner,
right?
Mel Brooks, and Herb Sargent, and all the. I mean, comedy is about Jewish writers, so that's.
Well, that's what we talk about. You know, I often talk about in the Catskills, Jewish comedy became American comedy. You're a Catskill boy.
I am.
A Brooklyn boy and a Catskill boy.
I started going to the Catskills when I was 5 years old.
No.
A little kuchelein.
And then you worked in the Catskills, right?
I worked in the Catskills. I worked in a number of hotels, and then I worked in camps in the Catskill Mountains. I worked as a waiter in Camp Eton. I worked as a counselor in Camp Maple Lake. I worked in a number of places.
Wait a minute. Don't we have a photo of Alan? You can't make a...
Oh, yeah.
Oh. What?
That's me in the middle, and it caused me a lot of problems with my grandson. When I showed it to my grandson, who's now 23 and really good-looking, a redhead, he's in medical school, I said, "That was me when I was your age." He said, "Oh, my God, you mean I'm going to end up looking like you now?"
But when I watch you, defend civil liberties and defend Israel, I feel so good about it.
And I learned it all in the Catskill Mountains. You know, everything I learned in the Catskill Mountains, whether it be at the President Hotel, the Pineview Hotel, the Pioneer Country Club, King David Hotel, Brown's, you know, Grossinger's was too fancy for us. The Concord was too fancy.
Of course.
Kutch's, we could play a little basketball, and you'd watch some of the pros. Red Auerbach used to come there.
Of course.
Yeah.
There is one aria that was actually written for the Catskill Mountains.
Yeah, you don't know this. It's true. It's the only aria, classical aria.
Oh, so you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know that song. Yeah.
Oh my.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a premiere, Alan Dershowitz singing a great aria about the Catskill Mountains.
Okay, ready?
And Maestro.
Hello, mother. Hello, father. Here I am at Camp Granada. Camp is very entertaining, and they say we'll have some fun if it stops raining.
The Catskill Mountains in its heyday was truly a magical place. Just 100 miles from New York City is where Jewish comedy became American comedy. It was a fresh air haven for Jewish families, including many survivor families like mine. They got a few weeks during the summer to let their hair down, relax, and try to live again. The Catskills Hall of Fame honors the men and women who gave us so much. Entertainers, athletes, comedians, hotel owners, musicians. They helped us thrive, and they helped shape American culture, and they left a legacy for us all. This evening, the Catskills Hall of Fame is pleased to honor the one and only Jerry Lewis. It is impossible in a reasonable period of time to list the career achievements of Jerry Lewis. Carl Reiner wrote, after Lewis's death, they say that mankind goes back to the first guy, which everyone tries to copy. In comedy, that guy was Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lewis was born Joseph Levitch on March 16, 1926, in Newark, New Jersey, to Russian Jewish parents. His dad was a vaudeville entertainer. His mom was a piano player. He began performing at age 5 alongside his parents in the Catskill Mountains. He gained national attention as part of an act with singer Dean Martin. Within a few years, they were a cultural phenomenon, with crowds rivaled only by Frank Sinatra and later Elvis Presley and the Beatles. Lewis went on to star in, direct, produce, and write 36 motion pictures, appear on television, headline in nightclubs, star in musicals, and sing on best-selling records. For almost 2 decades, from the late 40s to the mid-60s, Jerry Lewis was an unprecedented force in American popular culture. Widely acknowledged as a comic genius, he was often referred to as a bridge from vaudeville to modern comedy. His style influenced generations of comics and paved the way for comedians like Richard Pryor, and Steve Martin, and Jim Carrey. Carrey wrote, Jerry would stretch the boundaries of reality so far that it was an act of anarchy. I learned from Jerry. I am because he was. Lewis was also a very important filmmaker, which many people don't know. He directed himself, paving the way for the likes of Mel Brooks and Woody Allen. And during the filming of The Bellboy, he pioneered the technique of video assist, for which he received numerous technical awards. The practice was revolutionary at the time, and it's commonplace today in filmmaking. His University of Southern California film directing class included students such as George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. That's how important a director he was. He was the recipient of numerous awards. He hosted the Oscars 3 times, has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Jerry served, of course, as the host of the Labor Day Muscular Dystrophy Telethon for 44 years. And for his dedication, he was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize and received the Academy Awards Jean Hirschheld Humanitarian Award. For my own part, Jerry Lewis holds a very special place in my heart. He was one of the few big stars that always came back to the Catskills, even when the area began to lose its shine. I recall the excitement when he would return for his annual performance at Charles and Lillian Brown's Hotel in Loch Sheldrake, New York, where he first started. I was even lucky enough to be working there as a young drummer one of those years. It's just something you never forget, as through it all, Jerry never forgot his beloved Catskills. Jerry Lewis left us in 2017 at the age of 91. Ladies and gentlemen, the Catskills Hall of Fame is proud to induct the one and only Jerry Lewis.
Well, there's no place like home for the holidays, 'cause no matter how far away you roam, when you pine for the sunshine of a friendly gaze, for the holidays, you can't beat home, sweet home.